This, of course, is the Trislander. Now, a couple of caveats. This is not released yet. It will be soon, but it's not released yet. And AvAngel did a fantastic preview of this video on YouTube. And the developer has been very kind to let me show this off on our live stream tonight. Straight away, this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Why? Because, well, some people are saying, look at the state of it. I think as an aviation enthusiast, you're really going to want this plane. Why? Look at the state of it. It's incredible looking. It's like something that Gru would drive around or fly around in. Today, we fly a plane with do you know what I mean? He's a Gru kind of a plane. But of course, it is that of the Britten-Norman Trislander. They belong to the Islander series. Very, very successful, popular airplane. And Blackbox Simulations are the ones behind the development of this aircraft in Microsoft Flight Sim. Blackbox Simulations, well, what do we know about them? They have a very weird and wonderful fleet already in Microsoft Flight Sim. The L-19 Bird Dog with the Islander itself, and now it's coming along with the Trislander. Also, the Bulldog from them was absolutely fantastic. My opinion and, you know, my summary of what Blackbox do, they make some of the best flying aircraft. They're fun to fly. You get that sense of flying with them. And you could summarize it to say, well, the textures and the PBR and the modeling, it's very, very good. It may not be the absolute top shelf kind of stuff, as we'll see in a moment with some of the textures, but these things fly really well. This particular aircraft for Blackbox Simulations has been a real challenge for them because, albeit very similar to the Islander, all they did was stretched it and threw on an extra engine on the back. They really worked hard on the avionics and also more of the study level simulation of this aircraft. Every single system works. All the circuit breakers work. The engines behave correctly within their limits, as does the emergency procedures, as does the avionics. They've done a lot of work with this thing. So much so, we're going to take a proper look at it here now today. So I have some information. We'll read all about the specs and all that kind of stuff. But also, I wanted to show you, and again, it's not finished, but it does come with an awesome TOH, right? Like, this thing is detailed. Like, it's just lots of stuff happening here, right? So this is kind of like your initial kind of spec sheets of what the aircraft is going to be all about. It gives you an introduction to the aircraft, bit of history about it. It actually goes in detail explaining what everything is. And I love these cockpit tearaways or pullaways because you will study these to figure out where everything is. And it's so accurate, so accurate. What else do we have? It goes to the overhead panel. This is interesting. They're adding in a custom built EFIS control panel, the EFIS. It's an Aspen Avionics system, right? And essentially what this would be like a option that you can include on your aircraft. And it's great to see this because it is a brand new set of custom avionics, something new to learn, right? It goes through all the weight and balance. It goes through all your preps. And it's going to be coming with a couple of tutorial flights, kind of like bus trips, but they're tutorial flights that's going to help you learn this airplane because it is a challenge. It is very much a challenge to fly. So we have our checklists. We have a couple of bits and bobs. These are all there. It's fantastic. And I love what Blackbox have done here. They've put in a ton of information. They've also included an official pilot operating handbook. And I love this because this is the real McCoy, right? And it goes through everything. 47 pages of this thing, which is absolutely cool. Do you know what I mean? It's fantastic, right? And it goes through everything about the airplane, bit of history, all the emergency procedures, again, weights, dimensions, characteristics, capacities, limits, the devil knows what, how the thing is actually built and how it works. So it's really, really cool. And these are going to be located inside the documents folder, inside where you keep all your custom add-ons in your community folder, right? So it's awesome. And it's great to see that they've included this amount of stuff here. Now, what I like about Britten-Norman, in particular what I like about them, there's a lot of history behind these aircraft, right? When they were built, the guys, Britten and Norman, they were two lads, right? And they were chums. They were good old friends, right? And, well, bit of history here now, Maestro. So, this Trislander, part of Britten-Norman, and it's from the Islander series. They're that of the brainchild designed by John Britten and Desmond Norman. But these are fascinating guys because they started off early in life. They were mechanics, and they were working at de Havilland. That's what they did, an apprenticeship or a mechanic apprenticeship in de Havilland, and they built their own little plane. They said, right, we know how to make planes, and they built their own little plane, which was just a small little kind of a weird looking biplane, and it was grand, right? They were happy enough with it. Then out of nowhere, they started working on the BN-1, which is interesting. There's lots of history here. I won't bore you with it all tonight, but to kind of condense everything into very small places, they knew that there was a market needed to fly an STOL, short takeoff and landing capacity aircraft, that had a certain speed, had a certain lifting capacity, and a certain design. And that's where the Islander came from, which became the BN-2 Islander. And the Islander was such a success of an airplane. So it was so successful. It operated in all four corners of the world. It was used in civilian, in military, loads and loads of different sort of applications. And it was such a versatile airplane. It's still being built. Not necessarily from the same company. There's all sorts of drama. You know, they built it and then they got in trouble and they ran out of money and then, well, someone else called it. There's all drama there. But the Trislander, this was a response, if you like, from customer demand saying, we want to go a little bit further and we want to fit more people in there. How do we do it? They knew exactly what to do. They said, we'll make it longer by about 12 feet, and they stuck on an extra engine, reinforced the landing gear. That was pretty much it. The characteristics of this aircraft, it's not a very clean aerodynamic design. So look at it. Look how far back those wings are. Do you know what I mean? But speaking of Britain, Norman, after they developed these guys also went on to, they built one of the first hovercraft prototypes. These lads were nuts. They were out there, man. But it's fascinating. So if you want to do a read up on them, very, very interesting. Have a read of them. They're over on, you get them on Wikipedia and the like. Do you know what I mean? So we have the Islander, the BN-2, which has been released already in Microsoft Flight Sim, and now we're going to look at the Trislander. All right. So it was first flew on the 11th of September in 1970. It was produced between 1970 and 1980, and there was only 72 of these aircraft actually built. And it's going to be instantly recognizable for anyone who was in Duxford. They have one of these. In fact, this exact aircraft, Joey, it's called. It's parked in Duxford, right? And I have some pictures here that I got from Grafton 11, who very kindly sent them on to me because, well, he's been in one of these airplanes. He actually got to fly in one, right? So here's the real thing in action. There's Joey. And this is a picture that Grafton 11 took. It's fantastic. This is what the cockpit looks like in real life. Please do not touch the controls. I think, is that the one that's parked up in the other place? I think it is. That's the one parked in Duxford. Like, it's such a weird and wonderful looking airplane, isn't it? Absolutely cool. So, what we're going to do, we're going to show you off this plane in a little bit of detail. And to do that, we'll play a bit of music and check it out. So as I said, the developer, what he's going for here is more than just, oh look, it's a plane. He wants to focus on the study level aspect because, well, all the systems modeling is there, right? Now, it's going to come with a number of different variants. It has a shorter nose. What do you mean it has a shorter nose, as it does with the long nose. And it comes with a couple of different liveries. Also some military ones as well. Pretty cool. And they're just waiting on the Aspen Avionics pack to finish. And it just needs a teeny tiny bit more polish. And then they're hoping to release it. So, let's check it out. With Blackbox Simulations, they look excellent from afar. If you get really close up to them, as in really close up to them, yeah, they're not bad, but you can kind of see where, I won't say steps have been skipped, but they don't need to go into like the crazy amount of detail. Blackbox Simulations, it's all about how the airplanes fly. That's my take on them. They fly really, really well. But as you can see from the model, I mean, it looks fantastic. It really, really does. You know, it has the doors, the seats, the interior is fully modeled. There are nice texture work throughout the aircraft. You can kind of see, like, when it comes to rivets at the side, they're part of a texture, so you might go, but you don't really notice it. The main panel, the texture work here is a little bit on the side, but it's very, very functional, and everything works. Everything works. Do you know what I mean? Brilliant. So as we move around, it's a huge plane, isn't it? And like that landing gear, that can really take a lot of force. And there's some awesome videos of these on YouTube flying around the place, in particular kind of out in the Bahamas and the Seychelles. I think they have some of these as well. The Islander is great in VR. It really is. And the Trislander is great in VR. They're a very similar airplane. It's just they fly very, very different. This is it feels heavier. It's more kind of sluggish. And that's what I like about it, because it's a bigger, heavier airplane. What do you think? I mean, it definitely looks the job, doesn't it? Like, there's nothing on it that, you know, there's nothing that the developer has done that I can say, that doesn't look right. I mean, everything looks spot on here. Absolutely spot on. I think it's a fantastic model. I'm not mad on this particular livery. That's not his fault. I mean, it's just kind of mad looking. It makes the plane kind of look kind of, you know what I mean? But in saying that, like, you can see the details when you get very up close and personal. You know, they're still all 3D. Like, we've seen other developers not bother with 3D. They just stick a photo in there. Do you know what I mean? So there is some very, very nice work gone into this. If I fly as much as the Islander, it'll be worth the money. Yeah, it is definitely a unique looking aircraft. It really, really is. And there's great detailing on it, you know. So I'm going to try and start this thing up, take it for a flight here. And because you reminded me to do the thing about the thing, well, I'm on the ground here in Sydney. And, well, I need to check out some of the scenery. Like, it has some cargo areas on it. It has loads of doors, loads of switches, loads of buttons. It's absolutely cool. You know what I mean? So what we're going to do, we're going to jump in and see if we can actually fly this machine, right? So, some buttons to press. So here we are inside from the cockpit view, right? And this is kind of where it's like, it doesn't really, you know what I mean? But it's very, very functional. And as I said, everything works. Everything. All these switches. All the circuit breakers. Right? Everything works. And sounds and everything. It's absolutely brilliant. Right? So, to close the doors, there's just little switches down here. There you go. Instant, no messing around. The doors are closed. And we do have a little window open down here, which we can close. That's it. It's closed. We'll leave it open for the moment. So, Murph, what do you like to fly in one of these? Sure, listen, I'd be grand. Right, here we go. So, oh yeah, if you look in the back there as well, it's as basic as, you know, but that's the way they are. These things are basic. Very, very basic. Look at the amount of seats. You'd be shouting down the back, yeah, right back there. Do you know? And there's a number of other bits and bobs in the cabin as well. So in order to get it started up, well, if you own the Islander, well, straight away, you're going to be familiar with this. Battery on. Gyro powering up. Get our generators on for the crack. Nav lights and beacon lights. Now, let me see. Doors are all closed. That's looking good. We'll go up to our fuel. Jesus. What way did they go? Oh, wait, I think that's right. Face down. I think that's right. We'll know now in a second when we go to start the plane. Do you know? Take the seats out, put in a bowling alley. Oh, wouldn't that be brilliant? That could work. That could really work. So let's go for, we've three, and your mixtures are up here, look. And I watched someone flying this, and they're so rough with the controls. So, like, obviously, yeah, you got to put a lot of work into them. Do you know what I mean? So hit the D and B keys just to set them all up, and then we're going to go up on top here. So what's the fuel situation like? Yeah, we're okay. So we have transfer pumps, and we also have rear engine power failure, auxiliary fuel pumps. There's loads of cool stuff on this, and you can really mess around it. You can feather all the engines or feather all the props, turn on and off different ones. It's absolutely cool, right? So let's go with the rear fuel first. So we're going to start the rear engine. So magneto's on with the rear. I hope this works now, right? Let me see. So throttle kind of somewhat there. Park and brake down is set. And I hope this works unless my fuel is turned off. But sure, listen, we'll find out together. So. Huzzah! It sounds great. Look at that. Isn't it brilliant? Now, so my fuel is in the right way. So we're going to go for the starboard engine. Mags on. Fuel pump on. Clear prop. We have a good start. Right. Fantastic. Now close the window. All the sounds work as they should. Fuel pump off, and we'll go for the port or left. Mags on and start. All right. Fuel pump off. Gonna check in all our RPMs. Everything's running. All is looking well in the realm. And verified from outside. Now to check out some of the sounds on the ground, right? Hide me here for a second. The sounds are excellent. They're excellent. They're very immersive. Hey, Ski Jeffrey, welcome aboard. And did you notice the little animation there? Look, just the attention to detail, right? Look at the animation on the airframe when I increase power. Look. Is she rattling and rolling and doing all the thing? Pretty cool. Right, so what do we need to do now? Let's continue on with our check. So we'll go ahead and get our landing lights on. What's down here? Cabin lights, turn them on. Don't need any de-ices or any of that. Doors are closed. We can see all our temperatures and pressures, including your cylinder head temperature. You have your carb heat here. I gotta fix that. There's like a texture issue thingy there. Flaps are grand. We'll go through them now here in a moment. We have our audio switches. They're all fine. What else now? What else? That's... Oh, here we go. So we're on standby altitude mode, that's fine. You have a Collins ADF, you have a transponder, and you have a DME. Really, really handy. Your EFIS master. So the EFIS isn't there yet, but they will put it in. And you can turn on your avionics switches and all that kind of jazz here as well. You have your gens, you have your RPM, you have your manifold pressure, and you have your carb temp. There's everything here works, which is brilliant to see, right? And then you can see your Aspen Avionics. So this thing here, I don't think it's fully coded yet, but this is your EFIS, and it just gives you the choice of changing how the aircraft looks. I love that. It's fantastic. It's like an instant thing, and it's great to see it from Blackbox coming in. So yeah, this is still in development. They're still working on that. So we'll go back to the L steam gauge. It just looks the job for me. Reappear our yoke here. That's interesting as well, actually. Did that disappear? Oh, it did. Look. So you can actually have this as a one pilot configuration. I've just learned something new. If you just want this as a one pilot configuration, which this is a one pilot aircraft, right? You can actually, by clicking the second pair of yokes, it actually gets rid of the rudder controls as well. That's an accurate feature, because often you'll get a passenger sitting up front, right? They're a bus. Do you know what I mean? Panel textures, yeah, they are a little bit on the meh side. Like, they're very functional. They work well, but they are a little bit on the mess side. But this I will say, it's how this thing flies, and it's very hard to explain that or show that how well it flies, other than probably just the big happy head in me. Do you know what I mean? But it flies really, really well. So let's check out some of the night lighting with the aircraft, right? And this is done really, really well, right? Instrument lighting, bring these lads up a bit. Now I know we're on the ramp or whatever, but it has very, very nice lighting on this. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And if you turn off the cabin lights, it's just nice. You know what I mean? And if you look at all the dials and the instruments and even the lights, I mean, that's beautiful looking. Look at the way the lights are done. It's fantastic. Really, really nice. Not only do you get 3 engines, you get 5 boarding doors. Yeah. Looks like it should be super easy on the frames. It absolutely is. This is highly, highly optimized. And that's an advantage of using, or having, if you like, these types of textures. It's just an advantage of it. You know what I mean? So, there we go. Kind of daytime. So what we're going to do, we're going to go brakes off, and we're going to fly out towards the harbour. Now, because the wings are so far back, right? Where are we going, Murph? We're going this way. Like, the wings are miles behind you, which means the landing gear is miles behind you. And if you have a look at the front, the wheel is right on the nose. So it's a bit of a challenge to kind of steer this thing. It needs power, you know what I mean? You're not just going to roll on idle. You need to really push and pull this thing. When it comes to the control surfaces, the animations are absolutely bang on. All the ailerons, elevators, rudder, everything moves. The flaps, they all move as well. Oh, do you know what I need to show you here as well? Mind your speed, Murph. As I was showing you nighttime stuff, I want to show you the beacon light at nighttime, because it's awesome. Look at that beacon light. Isn't that deadly? It's a proper rotating beacon. It's fantastic. I love that. And the lights, of course, well, they look absolutely fantastic, don't they? It's well lit up. It's beautiful. So, back to daytime, so we can actually see what we're doing. There we go. And we shall taxi out. It's like steering a limo, yeah. It's like, we'll turn now. No, don't turn now. Oh, God. Now, it has another couple of bits and bobs in here. All the fuel tanks are done. The sun visors move, and they're not just in one click. You can drag them and move them to get them into that position that kind of suits. Now, where are we? Oh, yeah, we're in Sydney. How do we... Let's go this way. Ah, yes. Murph is trying to find his way around the airport. The sounds are so immersive. Right. There's a runway. Will we get off? We'll just go this way. One not to flat for takeoff. It's like driving a limo. It's mad. Taxi and beta. Yeah, controls aren't set up yet, but yes, you would. Right, so let's see. Walking, talking, squawking, power coming in. Let's go for it. Sounds are excellent. Airspeed very much alive. That would be 7. Ease the stick back. Oopsie daisy. And a nice, gentle departure. The climbing profile is very strong in this aircraft. It can really handle 1,000 feet per minute. It does sound different than the Islander as well. Well pointed out there. Beautiful. So bring your flaps in. Bring our props back a little bit. Just get ourselves trimmed out. Hey, Captain Spitfire, 9 months, man. Thank you very, very much indeed. Cheers. Swiss Tony says, is it a stall aircraft? It has stall capabilities, yes. Not as good as, obviously, the BN-2 Islander, but it's still good. Does it have the heading bug issue? What was the heading bug issue? As in, it wasn't able to follow the heading? Well, let's see. We'll test it. Now, again, this is a pre-release, so if there are any bugs or issues, let's not worry about it. So we're on heading mode. Let's see. So we're going to go altitude. What's my altitude? Let's go to, say, 2,000 feet. Autopilot on. Heading mode. We're going to climb at 700 feet per minute. And let's see what happens. Grafton says it brings back memories. Well, Grafton, you would have been sitting here, right? So heading seems to be following fairly well. Let's do a left turn up to 360 degrees as you ramble up by the coast. I mean, the lights look fantastic. The textures inside are fine. Like, they're fine. And even some of the view spots you can create on this airplane, like, they're fantastic. I like the trim wheel animation. Yeah, it's sweet. Is that the bug you were talking about, Mechanical? It's slightly off. Seems to be slightly off. So we're just slightly off north. I was one seat back, pile of hands switches on the his hand sandwiches were on the co-pilot seat. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Alright, so we're going to head into the bay here because I'm using the Orbex city packs for Sydney because I know Mr. Chippy, well, he asked the question earlier on Discord, how are they working now? So we'll check them out. Hey, Envision, welcome in. Many thanks. 6 months, dude. Shit. Do you have the 3x3 levers? How did you configure your setup? I'm just using a single throttle. And it's control throttle, that's all. On the Warthog. Now, it didn't go altitude hold. What happened there, Murph? V speed for 2000, arm. Bring us down a smidgen. Now, if we really want to start messing around, check this out. Easiest way to do it, mags, right? And let's feather the rear prop. Mixture out. And there we have the rear engine turned off. The prop has been feathered. It's off. I love that. So many developers don't get that right. You know what I mean? So, well, we need to turn it back on again. So we're going to unfeather the prop. Get that back to where it needs to be. Get our mags back on. And make sure RPM is running. I can hear it running. And the prop is back alive. You can fly this thing on one engine. The glide ratio is absolutely incredible. It is brilliant, right? Now, I'm looking for double buildings here. Does anyone notice them yet? Because that wasn't that the issue we had the last time? There was like 2 buildings loaded. And the bridge looked kind of weird. I wonder, did they fix that? It looks fixed. It looks fixed. So this is using the new world update for Australia. And it's also using the Orbex Landmarks pack. The Cityscape pack. And at the moment, it looks like it's working fine. Now, bring our speed back here. Look at the speed we're doing. Booting it. So we're bringing our speed back. We're going to turn our heading here all the way to 180 degrees. And we'll kind of enjoy this thing from the outside because it's kind of a, do you know what I mean? It's a fantastic little machine, this. So, yeah, let's check it out. pretty nice, right? So, what's Captain Ross saying? When you get a chance, can you tune to 112.1 on nav, yeah? 1 second out. 112. Get me trim set up, Murph, yeah, big E, just 112.1. Stand by. Easy up now. Right, so 112.1 we want. What's that? That's COM, is it? That's COM nav. 112.1. 112.1. And you want to see the VOR, is it? .1. Do we need to go to like nav? They're off. VLOC 112.1. Okay, VLOC is on. Like, when it comes to how the dials and everything moves, the avionics. Yeah, it's Sydney, Captain Rash, yeah, 100%. Like, everything's very, very fluid. It moves, everything moves the way it should do. Now, there could be stuff that they still haven't, oh, jeez, mind the ground. There could be stuff they haven't implemented yet. Maybe a shark face or a whale livery on it. Yeah, we can kind of mess around with it. I mean, that's the beauty about it, right? With all the different liveries that they have. It flies really, really well. Like, I can't explain to you how well it flies. It looks super smooth. It is super smooth. Like, from a frame rate perspective, like if I were to unlock my frames on my rig, about 150 frames, right? Like, it's super smooth. I mean, you can see how she glides through. It's a heavy, lumbersome, kind of a big, heavy machine. And it gives you a bit of a workout. Like, you got to put a lot of pressure into your controls to get it to do something. You know, like it's heavy, right? But it flies so well. And Blackbox Simulations, they've always done this with their planes. And I remember it was Colonel Fork who put me onto the first one. We, you know, when the L-19 Bird Dog came out, you know, it was like, yeah, it looks okay, but man, is it fun to fly. And they've always kept that with every airplane, include like the Scottish Bulldog they released. That's another work of art. That's fantastic. The Islander is a work of art, and this is definitely following the same heritage. It is fantastic. But just look how smooth it is. Do you know what I mean? The Bulldog is brilliant. Yeah, it really is. Look at this. Look at the nose on it. It's massive. And like, if you look at the profile from above, don't crash now, Murph. That'll be the last thing you'll ever get to do. Isn't it mad looking? It's like something like you drew in school. Do you know what I mean? But it is a lot of fun. Right, we want to head back down towards the airport. So it's over this way a bit. Did we see our VOR stuff come alive yet now? Okay, well, we got a DME there. See that? So that's working. But it's not coming up in my instruments. I wonder, is there like another setting I gotta use? What is the EFIS? Like, look how smooth it is. It's absolutely stunning. And this is going to be fully modelled. Every system on this aircraft works. It's a banana with wings. Yeah, it kind of is, yeah. Be interesting to see how we can land it. Be interesting to see if we can land it. What do you think of it, guys? Is this something that you might want to put in your hangar, you know? I think it's because it's this weird and wonderful and mad looking. You got to throw it in there. This thing around the, you know, Guernsey and that. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Like, what if we throw in a bit of kind of weather here? You know what I'm saying? Get a bit of precip. Okay, that's going to be very, very windy. Wild Atlantic way weather. Come on, Murph, you big Egypt. Yeah, get in the precip there. Launch it in, Murphy. Launch it in. Cloudage. Give us lots of... There you go. Give us lots of rain. Alright, let's see what happens here. Oh, Jesus. Now, bearing in mind, I'm trying to land this in all sorts of rain. But look at the animations on the windows. Like, it's perfect. Very, very accurate. We're way too fast. But let's see if, like, an Egypt can land it. You drop the flaps on this, they're like the biggest speed brakes you'll ever see in your life. Look at them. Look at the state of the flaps on this. Amazing. So speed coming down where we want it to be. Kinda nearly. Find the roll out here, Murph. Touchdown. Do we have there's no beta, that's interesting. So we made it anyway, that's a good thing. We landed. That was a decent landing. Stadium, Murph. Sounds better than the twatter. It does, yeah, it really, really does. They're almost like barn doors, Kahari, aren't they? They really, really are. Taxing this thing is a challenge. It's huge. And look at the wheel. The wheel has to like give it full socks to get you around. Look. And of course, I love this. The L cables from the lights. It just looks great. So let's see if we can mess here. Let's turn off the side engines. Feather and feather. Isn't that deadly, isn't it? There's no way this thing would be able to fly with just one engine. Let's see what happens. We'll do a Harrison here and go off in the taxiway, like. Let's see what happens. She is picking up speed. Not great now, but she is picking up speed. We'd never get this thing in the air at like just one engine, would we? There's 50 knots. There's no way. Like, there can't be. 55 knots. There's no way this thing is going to get airborne. At 60 knots? No, she doesn't like 60. It's still climbing. 65, 70. No way. We're not going to get airborne with one engine, are we? She's trying to rotate. I just need a bit more runway. Look, the front wheel is off the ground, lads. Did you ever watch that program, Seconds Before Disaster? That's what I just did there. So we'll we'll press this button, hit the brakes, and nothing to worry about. 4 different variants. There's a ton of different liveries for each one, and this is the cargo variant. So this looks absolutely brilliant. I mean, look, from the outside it's going to look the same, right? But the doors are different. But if you go from the inside, sure, look at you've seats and cargo back there. And like, look at the amount of cargo you fit in this thing. Instead of the Twin Otter with one single thing. I mean, look at this thing. There's all sorts of stuff. That's some like cement. Jesus, they've cement in this, Gibble. We can go building things. Do you know? But it's cool that they've added in a cargo variant because this kind of sets you up for your flight, right? I mean, oh, I'm just going to go flying here and look out the window. No, the airplane has a thing. It has character to it. It's a cargo plane. I'm going to do a cargo mission at nighttime in the rain. You know what I mean? I love that. And I love the way that they can include the different variants of an airplane in there. It could be a military spec thing, it could be a civilian chartered airplane, or it could be cargo. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, that is the Trislander. Release date not yet confirmed. It could be hours, it could be days. They're just waiting on a couple of things to come in to get it finished off. But my initial look into this plane, you're going to really like it. It's not going to be a purchase you're going to regret. It is a fantastic general aviation airplane, which has huge capabilities. If you guys are into, you know, FS Economy, if you're into the one from Just Flight, Air Haulier, this is an awesome airplane to have because it's so versatile and they tend to be very cheap. They're cheap and cheerful because, well, Brit and Norman, it's not exactly the Pilatus or Quest aircraft or Dar, Cicada, all this sort of stuff. So I really kind of like it. You know what I mean? It's I'm a huge fan of what they've done here.